You At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Okie folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and we're talking about gardening in the South. If you're not in the southeast part of the United States, but particularly Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, Tennessee, Arkansas, you know, that part of the deep South, the coastal South, then you're welcome to listen along, because most of what we talk about applies to gardening no matter where you are. Matter of fact, Java, I've got an opportunity next week maybe to meet one of the garden gurus from England. You know, I'm broadcasting live from Lancashire this week, and next week I'm going to a special annual event called Garden World Live. And a lot of our listeners, Java, watch this BBC thing called Gardener's World. And one of the hosts is a guy named Monty Don, and he's going to be there next week, and I'm in negotiation to do a little interview with him. So we're going to find out how much Monty Don knows about gardening in the deep South of the United States. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. And that'll be an interesting conversation, because oftentimes you talk about, you know, when you go to some of these big gardens and flower shows overseas in England, you'll see some of our native plants and things like that. So there's some crossover right there between you and Monty Don.
It is. The biggest issue that I have is not just as a horticulturist, because we understand these things, but a lot of gardeners don't realize that just because something will grow in England or Japan or Africa or South America or California, it'll do well in Mississippi, because it won't. You know, Java, one of these things, have you ever heard of zones? What zone are you in? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I knew a couple people that's how they kind of introduce themselves, as far as like, I'm in zone so-and-so, so I grow this.
Hi, it's like, hi, I'm Felder, I'm from zone 7B. Well, zone is based on average low winter temperature. In Mississippi, you know, on the coast, it may not get that cold. Up north, it'll get a lot colder in the wintertime. But in general, Mississippi is zone 7, 8, 9, anywhere from the mid-teens or so in the wintertime. And that's what zone is based on. The problem is it doesn't deal with how hot it gets in the summertime, how hot it is all night long in the summer, how much rainfall you get at one time and no rain at all. And, you know, all those kind of factors that influence some kind of plants. England is in the same zone as Mississippi. Seattle is the same zone as Mississippi. Albuquerque, New Mexico is the same zone as Mississippi, but they grow stuff that we can't grow, and vice versa, because of these other factors. So anyway, zone really doesn't matter a lot. How you dig a hole and what you stick in it is really important, and choosing what you stick in the hole. You know, digging the hole, that's my business. I can help folks with that. What you stick in the hole, I try to stick with what we know do well in our part of the world, not just what zone we're in. Anyway, enough of that. That's kind of pedantic horticulture stuff. How are you doing? Have you had enough rain this week?
No, and we're actually under like a slight heat advisory, I think today, tomorrow. But I wonder, I'm going to have to investigate what warrants a heat advisory, because it's hot. It's noticeably hot. But some days you get the heat advisory and some you don't.
Yeah. Well, and, you know, I've been following gardeners on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook page. We've got about 66,000 members, Java, and most of them are in Mississippi. There's a few, quite a few in Louisiana and Alabama, so certainly around the Mobile area, Arkansas, some in Tennessee, but we even have people on it who are from other places. They live in other places, but they're from Mississippi. Anyway, Mississippi gardening is all about how do we grow stuff in our part of the world? What is this? How can I get rid of this? Is this a disease? Is this a poisonous plant? So those kind of things. But everybody's always showing pictures of what's growing in their garden, what's blooming. And I'm seeing so many beautiful gardens right now. Particularly the daylilies and even some late irises. A lot of people are getting, they've dug the potatoes or onions. They've got tomatoes rolling in and beans. I'm seeing so many pictures showing what folks have harvested in their garden. So I know that it's not impossible. It's going to get hot in another month or so and dry in another month after that. But for right now, gardening seems to be pretty good. And I'd love to chat with anybody who's got stuff going on in their mind. We'd like to mention before we get further, though, that the Bailey Avenue Garden Club, we interviewed one of their members who was a member of it when it started 70 years ago because she was in her mother's tummy at the first ever meeting. Anyway, the Bailey Avenue Garden Club is having its 70th anniversary this Saturday, June 13th. It's going to be at the Sanctuary of the Hope Spring Missionary Baptist Church, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By the way, that's in Jackson. Bailey Avenue Garden Club is African-American women and men whose hobby is gardening and who routinely, they do a lot in their community through projects and encouraging neighbors. Anyway, the theme is 70 years of celebrating the beautification of our communities through gardening and service. That was kind of a flower show, Java, from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the fellowship hall at the Hope Spring Baptist Church. And it's on Livingston Road in Jackson, by the way. Admission is free. Anyway, I wish I could be there because, we're talking about folks who are real gardeners. We're not talking about dilettantes. We're talking about folks who dig and plant and share and encourage other people. So anyway, that'll be a lot of fun. Just want to throw that out.
Now, if I could throw something out, because just yesterday I was at the after reception for the Southern Spark AI conference, and I bring it up. Crystal Chapman is one of the founders and presenters of that conference. But it was over at the Bean Path, and Miss Tony Cephas, as soon as I pulled up, she said, "I can't wait to tune in tomorrow to you and the garden guy, Felder."
The garden guy, you and the garden guy. That would be me, y'all.
So I want to give a shout out to Miss Tony Cephas this morning. And man, she helped decorate the reception. And I bring this up because on every table that was set up, she had some beautiful zinnias that she pulled from out of her garden. And they were all in the, in the vases and looking really, really pretty. So shout out to and good morning to Miss Tony Cephas.
All righty. Big shout out to that. We have folks who listen from all over the place. And if you're not on live stream, you can check this out anytime. Go to mpbonline.org and just fumble around on radio till you find the Gestalt Gardener. Or go to YouTube and in the search box, put in Gestalt Gardener. If you just do Gestalt, you can get all sorts of psychology stuff. But the Gestalt Gardener is where you can see me and Java and all the pictures that I'm going to be showing for the next couple of hours. You can do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's archived pretty quick. And Java, before we go any further, let me have who's our live stream producer? John C. back there?
Yeah, we have John C. We have Abram. We have our intern Francis on the phones this morning. So yeah, we got a full house.
Okay. Yeah, welcome, Francis. If we can get there to put up the first picture I sent, picture number 1, it's a potato that I found when I came back to England. I put it in the cupboard back in I guess, February when I went back to Mississippi, and I came back. It's a purple potato, and it's heart-shaped. But anyway, it started to sprout. It's getting soft and sprout, but I want to show this, Java, if you can get the camera on this. I cut it up. I cut the little heart shape, cut the shoulders off, and ended up with 2 pieces. And look how they're sprouting out already.
Yeah, they got the little the sprouts on them popping up.
Yeah, they got little plants. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these in a big pot. I'm gonna barely cover them up with just a little bit of dirt, a little bit of fertilizer, not much, and then they're gonna grow roots in the dirt, and these sprouts grow taller. I'm gonna cover them up with leaves and stuff so that the stems are always being dark. And when it gets about a foot or foot and a half deep, I'll leave it alone, and then they'll grow the rest of the summer. Potatoes won't grow well in Mississippi in the summer, but what happens is over the next 2 or 3 months, the potatoes will grow on the stem that's buried. So it's really important when you plant these to plant where the bottom part is in some soil and some potato fertilizer, but then cover them up, and the potatoes will grow off the stem in that. So anyway, I hope to have some a sack of purple potatoes before I head back to Mississippi a little bit later this summer. So anyway, thumbs up. Something else I did, Java, before I left Mississippi, I gave my plants what's called a Chelsea chop. I don't think we talked about that last week, did we?
No, this is new. Chelsea chop. What is that?
Well, it's called the Chelsea chop because the way of cutting plants back, flowering plants, you cut them back, and then instead of getting long and tall and floppy, they branch out. They're bushier. They have more stems and more flowers. And the reason it's called the Chelsea chop, because in England, they do it around the end of May, 1st of June, which coincides with the Chelsea Flower Show. I guess we would call it the, I don't know, the Juneteenth chop here.
That's a nice one. I like that.
Because that's what I'm going to be doing. Anyway, I cut back my chrysanthemum. Let's put up a couple more pictures. Picture number 2 is a real popular old-fashioned heirloom flower. It's a type of mum. It's called Clara Curtis. Some people call Clara Curtis country girls. This is a hardy mum. It grows from Canada to Florida. It blooms unbelievably well every year, usually late October, November. But it's real easy to propagate it. It doesn't spread too much. Real popular pass on plant. Anyway, it gets long and floppy and just flops all over the place. And I found out that if you cut it back this time of year, instead of getting long and tall and floppy, it'll bush out with a lot more compact branches, a whole lot more flowers. And that's just called the Chelsea chop. Picture number 3, and this is the last one I'll show on this, is my goldenrod. You know, goldenrod gets maybe 4, 5, 6, 8 feet tall in the fall when it blooms, and it flops over. And my garden's too small to have big old tall floppy stuff. So I cut my goldenrod back right before I left. If you cut goldenrod back to 2, 3 feet or so tall, it will branch out. Instead of blooming at 6 or 7 feet tall, it'll have a lot more flowers on a really compact plant and a whole lot more management. Goldenrod is one of the best pollinator plants you could have in the garden. Great cut flower. Nobody's allergic to it. But it's a lot of people don't plant it because it gets tall and floppy. Chelsea chop. And anyway, if you haven't done your mums, your fall blooming sunflowers, the tall sunflowers, those kind of plants, even some of the flowering annuals, because you mentioned the lady zinnias, you can cut zinnias back and they'll branch out with more flowering stems on more compact plants. So any kind of ever blooming tall floppy plant can be cut back to thicken them up with more flowers. Chelsea chop time, folks.
I like that.
Anyway, that was my little rant about the little how-to of horticulture. It's just called I don't know what we would call it. It's not Chelsea chop. I guess we just call cutting it back. Just cut it back.
Or maybe
cut back.
Maybe we can call it the Cindy cutback, like our next caller, our first caller for the day, Cindy, who's in Cordova. All this alliteration, Cindy, Cordova, cutback. Good morning, Cindy. How you doing today?
Hey, Cindy. Good morning.
Well, my question is, and I had already left this message, will the Chelsea chop work on cut leaf coneflowers? Will they still bloom if I give them a chop right now?
I don't know. You know, cut leaf coneflower gets so, you talk about the real tall one, right?
Yes.
I don't know. You know, a lot of perennials, they bloom mostly just once. It might, I give it a try on some of them. Cut some of the stems back and see how they do, but leave some of the stems that are already blooming to make seeds, because there's so many of the little finch birds, whole lot of little birds depend on those kind of seeds. So I would leave a few to go to seed, and then let me know how it works. I know you can cut Gara back, which is getting tall and floppy for some folks. You can cut purple coneflower back, and it's in the same family, so I'm assuming you would, but I'd hate for you to cut it back and then nothing. So cut some of them back. Let me know how it does.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate your call. So there. A little bit at a time, Java.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and, Felder, I know you're about to get into something, but it's time to take our first break of the day. And when we come back, and then we can get back into it.
Okay, while we're doing that, I found a Kevin Farrell joke. How can you tell the sex of an ant? You know, Java?
How?
You put it in water. If it sinks, it's a female ant. If it floats, it's a boy ant.
Oh, I can't find my rim shot fast enough. I don't even know if I want to, though.
Okay, I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing, Java Chapman, my executive producer, and all the other folks at MPB. We're glad you joined us, and we're going to take a little bit of a break, a real short break, a couple of minutes. We're going to come back, and we got a lot of time to talk about what's going on or not in your gardens. You know, give us a call. It's toll-free, 1-877-MPB-RING. Also, you can email us through our podcast. So we'll be right back right after this.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hatred destroys the one who hates. The others that you hated, go on about their business, care of us.
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included as Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar is right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more.
All right, folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, me and Java Chapman and Abram and John C. We welcome you to our live podcast, our broadcast about gardening. And if you want to give us a call, it is toll free, 1-877-MPB-RING. And Java, I know we got some emails, but let me put up one quick picture because this is something that came in this past week. If we could put up picture number 6 while I'm reading this, I'd appreciate that. This is something that an email I got from somebody named, I didn't get his first name, M. Blevins. His name is Blevins. But he said, it sounded like last week when you mentioned people can eat elderberries, it didn't seem clear that you cannot eat them raw. Just want to make sure this is clear to listeners. Otherwise, some people may get sick. Apologies for being a snoot. Well, Mr. Blevins, you're not being a snoot at all. I was talking about elderberry flowers, which are edible. You know, you can frit them, you can mix them with pancake batter and all like that. But the berries themselves, while some people do eat them, they are considered poisonous. It's a matter of dosage. And some people get really, really sick eating them raw. They're perfectly fine when they've been cooked. The heat destroys some of the I forget what it is in them. You can eat a few raw, but if you want to really get the most out of them, cook them, make jelly or jam or wine or something like that out of them. But be sure you cook them before you eat them. Same thing especially applies to pokeberry. Java, we have a plant, we've heard of poke salad Annie all of our life, poke salad.
Oh, yeah.
It's a plant also called pokeberry. It's a native plant that sprouts up every year. It has chains of flowers, but it also has purple berries right now, and they are also poisonous. I just wanted to have this picture up of the elderberry flowers because they're sort of like you could fill up a plate with them. They're like a flat, hanging down a mass of berries. Pokeberry has little long hanging chains, single stems with clusters of berries all down them. But at any rate, you need to cook these first. And Mr. Blevins, you're not being a snoot. Appreciate you riding herd on me on that. So, John, you said we got some emails?
Well, not some emails, but we have some YouTube chat that we can get to in just a little bit. But let's go to Bill from Neshoba County, who just called in and wants to talk about wildflowers.
Okay, Bill, what's going on? What can I help you with?
Well, I sure hope you can help. On the other side of the road from my house, There's, the county easement. And I've been successfully growing wildflowers there. And yesterday, the road crew came by and bush hogged the whole thing. And so I'm assuming some of the wildflowers will live. But over the winter, I thought, hey, it'd be neat if there was some Jerusalem artichokes grown in this kind of a bare spot. So I planted them, and they cut them down to the ground. I mean, you can't even see them in green anymore. Are they going to come back, or?
That's a really good question. And Jerusalem artichokes, by the way, I'm not, they do get tall. They'll get 6, 8 or more feet tall. And cutting them back really doesn't hurt them. Cutting them back to the ground, it won't hurt them. They will sprout back out, and it'll be a lot more compact. So I wouldn't worry about them. But as a matter of fact, people who've grown Jerusalem artichokes, which Java is a kind of a perennial sunflower. It's got tuberous roots. You could eat them, but it just looks like a tall sunflower, lots of little flowers. It's hard to get rid of by cutting it down. A lot of people try to get rid of it by cutting it. So I don't think that the bush hog is going to have killed it. It's just going to knock you back a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good news. Great way to start today.
I know you're disappointed when the road crews do get by and do that, but this is just part of the right-of-way thing. If they don't control the vegetation, first of all, the vegetation, it gets up into the pavement, it can crack and degrade the pavement, but also it's a safety thing. If somebody have to pull over, they don't want to pull a hot car over in a bunch of dry grass and stuff. So they've got to do that. But it's just, I wish they'd do it like they do the Natchez Trace and mow one side one year and let flowers on the other side. Then the next year mow the flowering side. In other words, let the wildflowers move back and forth across the road by mowing every other year on each side. So anyway, I don't think your Jerusalem artichokes can be slowed down at all.
Okay, so let me ask you about a couple of the others, the black-eyed Susan and the goldenrod. Are they like the...
Goldenrod will come back. You cannot get rid of goldenrod, but I grow goldenrod. I grow several different kinds, and the common field goldenrod, the one that we see the most often, you can't get rid of it by cutting it. It can come back out. The black-eyed Susans, typically they bloom in the spring. By late spring, early summer, they've gone to seed and they've stopped blooming anyway. So there's a good chance a lot of those had already gone to seed, and the bush hog just scattered the seed. So they were getting close to petering out anyway. I'm talking about the roadside type of black-eyed Susan. Rudbeckia hirta is what it's called. It typically blooms just in the spring and sets seeds and dies anyway.
Okay, well, that's all good news. So you have a good day.
Okay, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you appreciating the wildflowers out there. And I know all the songbirds that feed on the seeds and the pollinators, the butterflies, the bees, the hoverflies, they all appreciate it too. So anyway, thank you for caring. Appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Okay, Java, what we got?
Well, yeah, I appreciate Bill with that, because it's always something to go drive through, especially along the highway or something, and you see these nice wildflowers kind of growing, and then you come back from your trip and they have been cut down.
Oh, yeah. It's not so bad as me going over to take care of my daughter-in-law's shrubs before I left. I was giving her a little, just neating them up and mulching and all, and the landscaper, the lawn maintenance crew had come by and they hit 4 of my favorite shrubs. I've talked about this before. I'm still irritated by it, but I spent 3 years and $50 a piece getting some nice little tree-form yopines going, and they've all been killed with a weed eater, a string trimmer, I should say. So anyway, got to protect our plants.
Yeah, woosah, Felder, woosah. But over on the YouTube, I want to say good morning to Margie. I want to say good morning to Alan, checking in from Virginia. Dean checking in from Alexandria, Louisiana. I know about the big A. And Pamela checking in for Harleston, who wants to talk a little bit about, she mentioned in the chat what you said about pruning blackberries last week.
Yeah.
I know you just talked about the elderberry, but we talked about blackberries last week. Give Pamela a little refresher.
Okay, blackberries and blueberries, 2 real popular fruits this time of year. Blackberries are unusual in that they send up these long canes one year. The next year, those canes have flowers and berries, Then that cane either dies or just turns a thick bramble. New canes come up from the spring and they produce the next year. So what commercial growers do, and what most home gardeners who've been doing this a while do, is as soon as they get through picking their blackberries, they cut the canes that they just got through harvesting, they cut them down, or maybe to a foot or two tall, and then anything that grew this spring, they cut it back, so it branches out the rest of this year. You have more stems, more compact, more berries. Blackberries, as soon as you get through harvesting, cut everything back to a foot or two or so tall, and you'll have a lot neater effect. You can have fewer brambles, a lot more flowers and berries the next year. It needs to be done by July or so. And incidentally, blueberries are done the same way. I know the weird weather we've had, Java, has caused a lot of people's blueberries to be late in ripening or sometimes get a few fungal diseases. But commercial blueberry growers cut their plants back to about waist or chest high every year right after. I mean, they take a bush hog raised up and they just cut the plants way back. And most home gardeners, as soon as they get through picking, if you'll cut the plants back, the tall stuff, to maybe waist or chest high, you get rid of a lot of stuff, but what's left will sprout out and have more branches, more berries that are easier to pick next year. So blueberries and blackberries are usually cut back right after harvest. And a lot of gardeners don't do this because they think they're hurting their plants. This is a good thing, both for the plants and for your harvest next year.
Okay.
Good question, though.
Now, as we get ready for our cheesy tune, we got one more question coming off of the YouTube, and I don't know who this person is, but good morning. Felder just mentioned cutting back. Did you say Gaura?
Gaura, G-A-U-R-A, Gaura. It's called prairie wandflower. But anyway, it's a native plant to the prairies west and northwest of us.
Okay.
Great plant.
And it says, how far back is good, and do I cut back the main stem or the long branching flower stems?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. Gaura, Java, I got to tell you, Gaura is a plant that makes my hair look neat. I mean, it is a scraggly plant. It gets up knee-high, sometimes waist-high with all these wavy little flowers. It doesn't matter which one you cut back. If you cut back the flowers, the stem will still branch back out. But if you cut the whole plant or part of the plant, you don't have to cut the whole thing at once. Cut some stuff back to a foot or foot and a half or so tall. It will branch out and keep blooming. It blooms on new growth all summer. So you don't have to cut the whole thing back at once. If you got more than one plant, cut every other one back, or cut just a few steps here and there, and it'll do fine. It'll keep on right on blooming. But if the plant's getting a little bit too tall, you might want to consider moving it this fall to a place where it can get a little bit bigger, maybe behind some other plants, or else look for some of the new varieties that they've got. They've got pink ones and kind of reddish colored ones that are more compact with more flowers. But G-A-U-R-A, Gaura, is a fantastic native all summer pollinator plant, terrific plant, hard to kill, grows in the cracks of the sidewall in Tulsa, Oklahoma. That'll tell you how tough it is.
Yeah, you can't get more beat down than the cracks of the sidewalk in Tulsa.
Joe, I think it's so funny. People ask me about cutting their grass and pruning their shrubs and stuff, and I don't even cut my hair. I mean, I like to prune shrubs. I've got one meatball in my front yard. It's just a tight little boxwood meatball, just to show that I know how to do it. And I shave to show I know what to do. But anyway, I don't mind cutting it all. It's just you practice what we call selective indignation.
All right, so we're now about the halfway point of the show, and you sent 2 cheesy tunes. Which one are we going with first, man?
Well, I thought it was supposed to rain. I got this idea it's going to rain this weekend, so I chose a Beatles song called Rain. I also have a Tiny Tim tune called, Welcome, Embrace the Sun. So let's go with.
Uh-oh.
I don't mind.
Okay, well, we're gonna go, like you said, we're gonna go with rain, because the rain comes before the sunshine. And
there
then,
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Java, I'm so glad to be here. I know I'm broadcasting from overseas. I may sound kind of weird sometimes, but I feel kind of weird sometimes. But over the next hour and a half or so, we're going to talk about gardening in Mississippi, here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. It's a talk program, what MPB is known nationwide for doing this. So we appreciate you joining us. So me and Java and John C. and Abram, all the other folks at MPB, thanks for tuning in. We're going to be right back with more of the Gestalt Gardeners and your phone calls right after this.
together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bobby Rush. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Back. Hope you enjoy that little short thing from the Beatles about rain or shine. I don't mind. You know, Java, it's one of those kind of things. We ought to take a survey sometime and find out whether people prefer too much rain or too much dry weather. Because dry weather, on one hand, you know, people complain, rightfully so, that our plants don't grow well. Sometimes they suffer and die because of not enough rain. But when it rains, sometimes roots can rot. But my way of thinking, I spent a lot of time all over the South, all over the country. I was in the desert Southwest 4 weeks ago, and I think I prefer rain because we have trees and greenery and stuff like that because of rain. But anyway, not much we can do about it except talk about it. So have we got any some emails or something?
Yeah, we got an email, garden at mpbonline.org is the email address. And this is from David in Mobile. Shout out to David because the first thing he says is greetings and thanks for a great show and for making it available as a podcast. So really appreciate that. And let's say first question, he has three, but the first question is it too late to prune climbing roses? And is Lady Banks considered a climber?
Okay, let me answer those backwards. First of all, I have photographed Lady Banks Rose in not Tucson. Where was the OK Corral? Somewhere in Arizona. Wasn't Tucson. Wherever the OK Corral was. Tombstone, California. Tombstone, Arizona.
Tombstone, Arizona.
Lady Banks Rose. It covers 1,600 square feet. It's an arbor. So Lady Banks is definitely a climber. It grows way up in the trees and all. Blooms in the spring and the late winter on what grew the year before. So it's not too late to prune climbing roses. I get right on it though. First of all, keep in mind they are climbers. They're supposed to be tall. So what most people do is they just cut out the really wayward parts that kind of grab you, that grab your hat when you walk by, or just too tangled. They cut back some of the older and scraggly stems, and they leave some of it to be a climber. But if you want to cut them way back right now, you can. What grows the rest of the year will have flowers next year. So let's get right on it. No more pruning after that. But yes, Lady Banks is a climber. By the way, let me throw this out, Java. This is an aside, but one of the South's greatest horticulture and garden communicators, Dr. Bill Welch from Texas A&M, he passed away this week. I want to throw that out because a lot of people listening may have heard Dr. Bill Welch lecture. They may have read his books, Heirloom Gardening in the South. He was the one who encouraged Peggy Martin to propagate and share her rose. Bill Welch is really well known for encouraging people to share heirloom and antique plants. And because he introduced Lady Banks rose, a lot of people are doing that way. But I'm not Lady Banks. This coffee has given me fits today. The Peggy Martin rose. Anyway, Bill Welch passed away. They're having services today. Wish I could be there. But anyway, yeah, you can prune climbing roses now. I wouldn't prune them too far because they are climbers. Just cut out the dead stuff. Okay.
Now, and another question David had is about torpedo grass. He said,
"Oh boy,"
he says it is taking over flower beds that didn't get a lot of attention the last couple of years. My understanding is that trying to dig it out is not a good idea, and that chemicals are the only effective control. I've been gathering bunches together with rubber bands, sort of like sheaves, and spraying each bunch with glyphosate while using a gallon jug with the side cut out. Try to contain any overspray. Do you have any suggestions for getting rid of this stuff?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you're not familiar with torpedo grass, it grows upright, several inches, a foot and a half or two, sometimes a little bit taller. And it's called torpedo grass because its runners, the rhizomes, shoot through the grass like torpedoes. They're like pointed spears under the ground. It spreads aggressively. Really hard to get rid of, certainly by pulling it, because all you got to do is leave a little tip on one of those rhizomes, and it's going to grow a whole new plant. Let me suggest this, though. In flower beds, I would switch over from glyphosate, which I don't have a problem if it's used correctly. It can damage nearby plants if you get it on them, but there are grass-only herbicides. They work like glyphosate. You can put them over everything out in your yard. The only thing it will kill are true grasses. It's specific to grasses. And they go under a bunch of different brand names. I couldn't even begin them. I think one's called Over the Top, one's called Clean Up with a K, one's called Grass Be Gone. Different brands though, but it's for grasses only, and it will control this. Works best on young, actively growing plants. So once the plants are big, once it's hot and dry, herbicides don't work as well. So anytime in the late spring, early summer, if you switch over to one of the grass-only herbicides, it's safer for your other plants, and it kills this roots and all. It's going to take 2 or 3 applications, though. It's a tough one.
Okay. And lastly, David, we appreciate you, man, and I guess the kind words get you 3 questions. Railroad ties, how bad are they? I've already bought and installed some before I became aware of the safety concerns.
That's a good question. I'm one of these kind of people, Java. I've got a foot in both camps. On one hand, there are some things that do cause problems. There's some things that don't cause problems. There's some that only cause problems if you overdo it. Some things that don't bother you can kill yourself with table salt and drinking water. But to answer his question, the preservatives in railroad ties don't spread outward from the plants, from the ties. They do leach into the soil. Some of the older types do leach into the soil. So I wouldn't plant anything right next to the ties. Or maybe you could put a sheet of plastic, staple some plastic on the inside of the ties. But as long as you're not growing stuff up against the railroad ties, I wouldn't worry about it. As far as edible plants, don't grow potatoes or carrots or beets right next to it. But the stuff is not absorbed through roots into other parts of the plant and poison that way. So it's mostly a toxic to plants that touch or come really, really close to the ties. Other than that, I wouldn't worry about it. Really wouldn't worry about it. It's an issue, but it's relatively small issue. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, that's a good one. I could see that. Let's see.
Let me take a step further. It's like pressure treated wood. We used to get pressure treated wood back in the 60s and 70s. That stuff was bad. It had arsenic and all sorts of stuff. And it caused problems, but they haven't used that in decades. The stuff they use now is practically no good for preserving wood. and it doesn't cause problems to plants planted next to it. That's an old type of product that's been gone a long time. And again, unless you're growing root crops right up against it, or snorting, huffing the sawdust from it, I wouldn't worry about it at all. And I care as much about my health and the health of my garden and environment as anybody. I just wouldn't worry about it. I use it myself. I feel perfectly okay.
Okay. Now let's go back to the phones. We got Magnolia Springs. We have Kelsey from Magnolia Springs on the line.
Morning, Kelsey. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. And thank you guys for being on the air for us. I have a 2.5-year-old young grapefruit tree that's still in a pot that was a clearance tree, but nevertheless, it's come along nicely, minus the giant swallowtail larva that got it last year. But I wondered, I'm starting to have a few nice fruits on it. However, a few of them, I guess the small lime size, have just dropped off their branch, and I wonder if it's too much water, not enough, or I just need to repot it. And your thoughts on that, please.
It's a good question. By the way, you live in what I call eastern LA, lower Alabama. You should be able to grow that outside, in the ground. You should. When you grow a plant like this, a plant that normally becomes a small tree in a container, it can pretty quickly use up all the old potting soil. Potting soil doesn't last forever. It decomposes, disappears. And it's really important, even in large containers, to occasionally repot these things and freshen up some of the soil if you've had it there a long time. Also, you need to add fertilizer because it washes away. Not a lot at one time, but a good quality, maybe a citrus plant fertilizer, a good potted plant fertilizer. Keep in mind that it doesn't last, more than all year because it just washes away. A little bit of fertilizer, and if it's been in the pot a long time, it's going to dry out pretty quickly between soakings, and that can set it up for damage if it stays too wet. So root problems associated with too much, too little back and forth watering, that can be a problem. So if it's been in a pot for a long time, I'd consider maybe this fall repotting it, giving a little bit of fertilizer, not even as much as they recommend for a pot, and that'll help a little bit. Not much else you can do about it other than water when it gets dry.
Thank you. And one more question, just pertaining to our bougainvilleas and also hibiscus. Is there one particular something of fertilizer nutrient that I can share amongst both the hydrangea, the hibiscus and the bougainvillea to help their blooming or just their fertilizing?
This is one of the most misunderstood things by gardeners and horticulturists alike. Plants do need all those nutrients. They need nitrogen, phosphorus, potash, and calcium, and zinc, and all that kind of stuff. They do need it, particularly in pots. But as far as which one is better than others, there's not that much difference. As long as the numbers are all about the same, not too high nitrogen, which promotes green growth. A lot of people say if you add extra phosphorus, which is bone meal or those kind of things, or any kind of fertilizer got high phosphorus, which is the middle number, is better. Phosphorus does not promote flowers or fruit. It helps flowers and fruit. So too much can be a problem. So I would just go with any kind of good potted plant fertilizer or fertilizer with all the numbers are about the same. Don't worry too much about what brand, whether it's a little bit higher, lower, this or that or the other. But in general, all the numbers about the same, maybe a little bit higher middle number, the phosphorus, not that big a deal to the plant. The problem is using a good quality balanced fertilizer with a little bit of everything and not too much.
Thank you. And Java, thank you for that Alabama Beauty Queen yesterday. That artist was very talented.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a good.
Well, appreciate you.
Weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend, Kelsey. Appreciate you.
Explain, Java.
Well, on the blend, and I got excited because Alabama Beauty Queen is a song by Cassius Culpepper. He's a great kind of country Americana singer, and he recently performed at Cathead Jam this last weekend. And yeah, he's a real good singer, man. Real good musician.
Good. You know, it's really surprising how I get as many comments about the blend as I do about anything. So you must be doing something good.
Well, we're just trying to, you know, do good things here at MPB.
and a lot of it, you take that philosophy of MPB as being Think Radio. You don't play all one genre. You play stuff that you probably don't even like yourself.
Well, I pride myself on having a wide palette, so it may not be my favorite, you know, but I will give it a go.
Okay. Who else we got on the line?
No, nobody right now. We're waiting on Frances to get busy. She's back there twiddling her thumbs, but we appreciate her for interning with us this summer.
Let me throw something out then. By the way, on the MPB, on the Mississippi Gardening website, Dennis Hayes asked, "Are hummingbirds scarce this summer?" He didn't say where he lives, but he said he and his neighbors have only had just less than a handful of hummingbirds visiting. And I don't know. You know, hummingbirds are kind of fickle. This time of year, they're raising their young. They go out in the woods, they go out in the shrubs and all. They don't come to feeders as much because they're busy looking not for sugar water. They're looking for protein to feed their babies. Protein means little spiders and aphids and things like that. So hummingbirds aren't looking so much for energy right now. They're looking for stuff to feed their babies. So they'll be on the flowers. Particularly those flowers got little small spiders or aphids and bugs and stuff like that. That's where they get their protein. So usually they'll disappear for a month or so, and then they start coming back when they need just plain old energy. And I also want to throw this out, and this is no, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna save this for the next hour. Are there separate male or female pepper plants? Somebody said that if the pepper's got 3 bumps on the bottom, it's from a male plant. It's got 4 bumps on the bottom, and it's a female plant. We're going to save that for the next hour because I'd love to hear anybody. Has any of you ever heard that peppers are separate male and female? We're going to talk about that the next hour. Meanwhile, let's throw up a picture, Java, of picture number 8. This is my plant of the week. I love Vitex, I love roses, I love crepe myrtles, but there's a plant out there that's been around forever. Some people call it Rose of Sharon because it's native to the plains of Sharon from the Old Testament. Some people call it Althea or Alfie. I've heard it called Alfie. But this is a true perennial hibiscus. It's a shrub hibiscus. It grows outdoors in Canada. Matter of fact, it blooms better in Illinois and Iowa than it does in Mississippi. But Althea, Rose of Sharon, is a fantastic summer blooming plant. It's been around for a long time. The new varieties have better flowers, more flowers. They don't set seed, so they don't spread everywhere, and they have more impressive flower displays. And they go by names that they were introduced under the names of goddesses, like I'm drawing a total blank on some of the goddess names. Anyway, if they got names of like Roman goddesses, but Rose of Sharon Althea is a seriously overlooked summer blooming plant, old-fashioned, but the new varieties outperform the old ones that come in red, white, blue, purple, pink, variegated, all different kinds, but it's a terrific plant. If you're having trouble thinking of something besides crepe myrtles and roses to plant, this would be a really good choice. Old-fashioned Althea, but particularly the newer varieties. I'm just drawing a blank on the female goddesses.
No, that's what I'm about to say. Are you talking about like Athena and
Diana,
yeah,
things like that?
Okay, all right.
Like that.
Selena, yeah, all that art, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, the Althea or Rose of Sharon, Hibiscus syriacus, because it's native to Syria. So this is just a terrific plant. I was raised with it, but it's coming back into popularity, and more garden centers are starting to carry. So that's my shrub plant of the week, Althea or Rose of Sharon. There's a fella out from Flora, comes with a Flora plant swap every year. He grows maybe 18 or 20 different kinds. I'm trying to collect some to plant at the Agriculture Museum in Jackson to just have a good collection of Altheas that are at their peak in the summertime, and no amount of cold weather will bother them at all. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff I wanted to sort of kick around a little bit.
Okay. Well, we're coming up on the second hour, and it made me think too when you talked about hummingbirds. If they need some protein, they can come to my backyard and eat all these mosquitoes. They can come.
I don't think they can catch mosquitoes, but if anything, you're catching mosquitoes, being a hummingbird. Could you imagine being eaten when you're little, being eaten by something with a long beak like that? Before we wrap stuff up, let me mention again the Bailey Avenue Garden Club has its annual flower show this Saturday from 3 to 5. It's free. It's at the Fellowship Hall at the Hope Spring Church in Livingston Road in Jackson. Good guys, good women, good men. Love to grow flowers. They're going to be showing what they grew themselves. If you get a chance to swing by, tell them I said hey. So anyway, next hour we're going to talk about our bell peppers, male or female. Have you heard that before? We're going to talk about just some unusual little things that I've seen over the past few weeks. And also, I'm going to take a toll job. I did something in my mother-in-law's garden this past week, and it's polarized people. It has polarized people over something that I did, world famous horticulturist, in my mother-in-law's garden. She's not mad at me, but I'm going to ask for y'all's opinion. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing. We're going to take a little bit of a break for some news and some weather. We're going to come back with hour 2 of the Gestalt Gardener here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We're so glad you joined us. Hope you check us out on YouTube or mpbonline.org, our podcast later. Stick with us, folks. We're going to be back and keep on getting dirty.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back to Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. And I'm not in trouble, Java, but I tried something. I've only been, my Susan and I were back in England. Her mother's 90 years old. She got a wonderful little garden, but she can't take care of it anymore. She can't even get up the steps anymore. But she's a wonderful, wonderful gardener in her heart and her mind. And she kept an eye on me, Java, because last week, well, let's just, for the folks who are on live stream, you can appreciate this. Let's put up picture number 13 if we could. If John C. or Abram was back there, put up picture number 13. This is Celia Rushton's rose garden. It's a nice little garden job. It's up on a hillside. It's got all sorts of perennials and roses and bulbs and stuff like that. But this is what it normally looks like, right? Kind of Englishy rose garden looking. There's David Austin roses. Matter of fact, the one in the foreground is called Harlow Carr. It's named after the Royal Horticultural Society gardener Harlow Carr.
Okay.
Anyway, you with me on this, Java?
Oh yeah, no, I want to see what's happening.
Okay. Picture number 14, tell me if you can see anything different. When you put up picture number 14, then I'll show a close-up for folks who are watching and might not be able to be able to tell. Can you tell anything different?
How you smuggle them blue bottles into overseas, man?
I got some bare branches, and I stuck them out behind one of her rose bushes, between the rose and her yellow daylilies, and I put some bottles on it. Now we're going to do two more pictures. Picture number 15 is a close-up of the exact spot where I put them. So they put that one up. This is the Harlow Carr rose and David Austin rose. In the background is another rose. I think it's called, I can't remember the name, but it's a white David Austin rose. And in the middle are some yellow daylilies, old-fashioned, really prolific yellow daylilies. And that's what it looked like before. And I put up picture number 16. And tell me if you like before or after with the blue bottles.
The blue bottles add another layer of complexity of color,
They do. Like some. But and by the way, I posted a picture of these on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook and I asked their opinions, and it's pretty well neck and neck. It goes back and forth. But right now, there's 113 people who responded who said they prefer it without the bottles.
Oh,
and
wow.
121 who say they like it with the bottles.
Uh-oh.
So it's pretty well neck and neck. And that tells me about around half the people either like bottles or don't, but doesn't matter. About half the people who look at these pictures can't decide whether the plants should have the bottles with them or not. Anyway, I put some blue bottles on sticks out in Celia's rose garden. And she said in her inimitable British fashion, she said, I don't mind them, but I don't fancy them in my garden. I don't fancy the bottles in my garden. And I'm thinking, well, it would look good in the wintertime. But anyway, she's 90 years old. She's the mother of my bride. I'm not going to argue with her. So I took them out. I got them in my yard instead. Anyway, whether people like them or not, I thought it was an interesting little exercise before and after.
Yeah, but that's funny. I like that poll on the Mississippi Gardeners Facebook page because that's about as close as you can get right there.
Oh yeah, and matter of fact, one of the women, Faith Estes, who's a really good friend of mine, she's a fantastic gardener from up in Winston County, lives out from Louisville. She has bottles and accessories and painted rocks all over her garden. She says she preferred that garden without the bottles. So it's not a matter of the bottles themselves, it's the placement. And I think it has to do with the fact that it's an English garden with English roses, and somehow people don't think I need to sip it up too much.
I like that, sip it up.
By the way, I also posted a picture of me in her garden, and about half the people say she didn't, that they thought that I really didn't belong out there either. Anyway, it's a weird world. We are a live program, folks. If you want to give us a call and talk with us about your garden, got some questions, some challenges, some things you heard you're not quite sure about. There's a fella in England. Some of you may watch him on Gardener's World, on BBC Gardener's World, named Monty Don. He also is he's well trained in horticulture. He's a garden expert, but he also doesn't really like the stuffiness of some of the horticultural rules about gardening. So I'm looking forward to having a chance to chat with him next week. But whether you like to garden or you like to just piddle or you like the challenge of it, you're into the horticulture, trying to fill your freezer or get a blue ribbon or have the flower of the month. If there's a challenge involved, horticulture, efficiencies, shortcuts, things like that really can help. But if you just like knocking around the yard and don't really matter if there's a few holes in the hydrangea leaves, I can help you with that too. I'm not a stuffy horticulturist. I'm absolutely a populist garden. Whatever you want to do, that's fine with me. If you want to put bottles out in your yard, I'm okay with that. If you don't, doesn't matter to me at all. It's like wearing earrings, Java. Some people hang stuff out of holes in their ears. Some people don't. Some people think they're inappropriate on other people. So it's the same thing with gardening. Sort of like I think it's like going to the state fair and getting a corn dog. Do you put mustard on it? Or you put ketchup on it? What do you think, Java?
The only answer is mustard.
You know what I do? I put mustard on one side and ketchup on the other.
That's another Felderism. But Felder, let's hop over to the YouTube chat, because that's always another place where people can add questions if they don't want to call in. And we got something from Amanda, and it says, "Good morning. I planted 2 types of tomatoes, Creole and Roma. The Creoles are rotting from the rain, and the Roma are pithy, Pithy. Any advice for better maters?"
Boy, that is a really good question. And it's really odd because Roma tomatoes are just there's no one Roma tomato. It's because it's a little small cooking type tomato. It doesn't have as much juice. They're good for making sauces and pastes and stuff like that. They're not juicy. Creole are juicy, so that may be a clue there. But when I say there's no such thing as Roma, there was a tomato introduced as Roma, but it's been lost. But there's a whole bunch of similar plant tomatoes that are all called Romas. But it is a paste type, sauce type tomato. The Creole is a slicing type tomato. It has more juice. So it might just be that the rainfall is having some effect on that. I don't know. It's just a wild guess. The only real difference between them, no difference in how they're grown or the plants or the nutrient needs, is rainfall may affect the ones that are juicy differently than the ones that are less juicy. It's just nothing but a guess.
Okay.
Nothing I know anybody can actually do about it, except growing raised beds for when it's too wet and then having to water a little bit when it's too dry. That's about it.
Now, you talked about the Romas. What about the I guess you can not really do anything about the Creoles that are rotting from the rain. I guess they're just too wet.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I can think of, because, they've got a lot of juice in a tomato. When a tomato starts to ripen, when it starts to really color up good, the skin gets less flexible. That's the reason sometimes we'll have tomatoes and some sweet potatoes and watermelon, any kind of fruit or root that's got a lot of moisture in it. If we have a sudden rain after a dry spell, they'll crack open just from the water pressure. So that tells me that the ones that have more juice in them probably pump more water into the fruits, and that could cause tiny little cracks or something, could cause internal. I just don't know. We can get into plant physiology all we want, but I'm a suspect it has something to do with water. If they're rotting from the inside out.
Okay. Well, hopefully that helped you out, Amanda. And we got another question in the YouTube chat. Shout out to Breeze, who is checking in from St. Petersburg, Florida. Visited the Sunken Gardens yesterday. Have you ever been there, Felder, to the Sunken Gardens in St. Petersburg, Florida? You heard of those?
I've lectured in St. Petersburg, and right across the bay is the Marie. There's a botanic garden right across the bay. I can't remember the whole name of it right now. It's a really, really nice botanic garden. I don't remember a sunken garden in St. Petersburg. I do remember wandering in the little downtown area back behind. They got wonderful graffiti on the buildings, wonderful art, but I don't remember the sunken garden there.
Yeah, I just looked it up. Yeah, the sunken garden. So may have to check that out. But we do have another question from William, and he says, Felder, what is a good product for controlling poison ivy and Virginia creeper? I've used Roundup successfully, but know that you oppose it. Or do you oppose Roundup?
I don't oppose it. I'm not enamored of Roundup now because the people who manufacture it changed the formulation. It's got 2 or 3 different kinds of things in it, so I don't really trust the Roundup now. But the product that used to the active ingredient called glyphosate that used to be in Roundup is safe and it's effective. If you use it right, it's safe and it's very effective, more than anything else I know. And it won't kill plants that you don't get it on the leaves of. Doesn't hurt roots, doesn't hurt tree trunks. So look around for a product that has glyphosate. There's several brands that have that as active ingredient. Here's the deal, though, and I don't have a problem with it. Don't drink it. Don't bathe in it. Don't wash your hair with it. Don't use it day after day after day after day, because just like eating red meat day after day after day can up your chance of health issues. Don't overdo this. But if you'll cut the poison ivy and the Virginia creeper back, just cut it back, let it sprout back out. This is a real key. When it sprouts back out, the growth is healthier, it's more vigorous. You use less product and has shorter distance to go from the leaves down to the roots, is how it works. So cut them back, let the new growth sprout out, and a day or so after a good rain, when they're actively growing, brush the foliage with it then. It's very effective. You put it on young, actively growing growth when it's after rain or something. I have no problem using glyphosate safely. And some people are going to argue with it. They'd rather use salt. A half a cup of salt can kill you dead. Give it a try and see what I mean. So it's not a matter of natural or not natural. It's a matter of what's effective and what's safe for you and the environment. And I'm okay with the occasional use of glyphosate on hard-to-kill vines, things like privet, blackberries, poison ivy, Virginia creeper. I have no problems using it.
Okay. Well, we're kind of dry on the calls, but our YouTube chat is going good. Dean, who was checking in from Alexandria, Louisiana, says there are tons of hummingbirds in Alexandria, but very few in Madison. So, I guess he has insight on both areas.
The hummingbirds, they've been tagged. They return to a lot of the same places over and over again. But we have to also remember that hummingbirds are in Vermont, they're in Iowa, they're in Minnesota, they're in Ohio. All those places have hummingbirds. All of them came through Louisiana, Mississippi, East Texas, Alabama. So, some are just passing through in the spring and they're hungry. That's where you can see a lot in the spring, but some of them have moved on. People in Vermont got to have hummingbirds too. So a lot of them have dispersed over the eastern half of the United States. So, and a lot of the rest of them are busy nesting right now. And it could be that there's more at the feeders at Alexandria because there's a lot of agriculture in the area. May not be as much natural source of protein and nectar for them in some areas than others. But anyway, it's like going fishing, Java. You can have the best bass boat and the best bait and the latest everything, and sometimes they're just not biting.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I do see we have some calls coming in being lined up, so let's go ahead and take our first break for this hour, and then we'll hop on the phones when we come back.
All righty, and I'm also interested in finding out, has anybody ever heard that there are separate male and female peppers, depending on the bumps on the bottom? Have you heard that? Give us a call, toll-free 1-877-MPB-RING. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, Java Chapman, the esteemed Java Chapman. By the way, I'm glad that the organization that Crystal has worked out is doing so well, Java. I'd like to hear more about that later when we're not talking about gardening. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break and come back with more of the Gestalt Gardener here on MPB right after this. Join us, won't you?
Mississippi Public Broadcasting has
Mississippi Arts and
podcasts.
Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
Hatred destroys the one who hates the others that you have hated. Go on about their business. Care less.
So the legacy of Medgar Evers is an understanding of our own humanity and of our own responsibility of seeing that in other people.
He is written out of history. He's just not included as Malcolm and Martin. To me, it's the 3 M's, and Medgar's right up there at the lead.
Everlasting, Life and Legacy of Medgar Evers. Watch now on MPB Passport. Visit mpbonline.org for more.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
All righty, folks, welcome back to the Gestalt Gardener here on Mississippi Public Broadcasting. The job, you tell me that we got a caller named Tom from Hattiesburg. What's up, Tom?
Hey, good morning, Felder.
What's
I've
up?
got a question. I got a question about, well, I got 1,000,001 questions, but I'll just cut it down to 2 of them. But I had a Japanese persimmon tree that died, and the grafted plant, it came up. It's vigorous, and as a matter of fact, it had like 30 suckers coming up all around it, and I'm just curious. It's probably male, and probably not a good idea to keep the tree. I probably should cut it down and do away with it. Is that right? Is they all male that they plant them on, or is it a possibility that it'll have?
I was just doing a quick word search to find out what are Japanese persimmons grafted onto. And I don't have time to find it here. So let me just do an educated guess here. First of all, if they're grafted onto American persimmons, then American persimmons are either male or females. It could be either one, either male or female. It doesn't really matter if it's a male, it won't have persimmons. If it's a female, it won't have persimmons unless there's a male persimmon nearby to pollinate it. So either way, you're not going to get persimmons. And, they're okay trees. They got nice fall colors, but if you wanted to keep it, I would thin it out to the strongest 1 or 2 or maybe 3 right now, and then next year thin those out to the strongest one just to have a pretty tree. But you're right, you're never going to get any fruit off of it, no matter what it is. And for that matter, the Japanese persimmons, only some of them are self-pollinating. A lot of them need 2 or more different varieties to pollinate. So, if you wanted to replace it, make sure you go with one that's what they call self-fertile. Fuyugaki, that's one or several that are. But anyway, if you only have one, you need to make sure it's a self-pollinating Japanese. But to answer your question, I'd cut it down. It's not going to ever do anything.
Yeah, it's real vigorous. So it's. I don't think it's the American persimmon. Another question too is on the plum tree, doing the same thing. I mean, it has suckers coming out. Yeah. Are they going to be male and female? Will they help pollinate the original tree?
Oh, well, that's a really good question. The horticulturalist, I'm torn on that because the rootstock is not going to be what I normally would consider a desirable type of plum. Just on one that's got a vigorous roots on it. But to answer your question, because plums do better, even the self-fertile ones do better if there's 2 different kinds nearby, you might want to leave one of those to grow up as a possible pollinator branch, even if it doesn't. Even if it does. I mean, they're both male and female on the same plant, but they don't always produce fruit unless they get pollen from a different variety. So, answer your question, I would leave at least one of them grow up as a sort of like having a twofer, but just leave one of them.
Gotcha. All right. That sounds good. I'll try that. I've already got tried anyway. A lot of them have died. I've got a couple of them that are hanging in there, so I'm trying to get different varieties.
Yeah, it's a really good question. By the way, have you ever grown the Chickasaw plum, their native plum?
I'm not sure. I think I don't believe I've got that one yet.
Well, they're the ones you can see them in the springtime along the edge of the woods. I'm not talking about the wild pears that are big enough, right? But these are typically little colonies, small trees and smaller flowers, white flowers. But the native plums are growing colonies. If you find one, you can dig some small ones up from around it and plant them. They're self-fertile, and for some reason, they don't seem to have as much trouble with diseases or worms. But it's called the Chickasaw plum. It's a terrific, not a heavy producer, but a consistent producer.
Yes, sir. Oh, I forgot. Yes, I have those, as a matter of fact. I just called them wild plums, but Chickasaw.
Yeah,
okay.
Same thing.
All right.
Okay, Tom, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Okay, let's slide up Highway 49 now and get up to Jackson. Judy, good morning. How are you? Judy.
Hello, sorry.
Hi, Judy. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's up?
My question is also about suckers, but I have a vitex tree and I have some loquats, and they're both just suckering like crazy, and I don't want to cut the plants down. I just want to get rid of the suckers.
This happens with a lot of trees, particularly if they have some kind of stress on the trunk. We see this a lot of times with crepe myrtles, for that matter. There's really not much you can do to keep the suckers from sprouting, but you can, as they appear, just go ahead and cut them off. But cut them as, you don't want to leave a big heavy wound, but cut them off, just pop them off flush with the trunk. There's no way to keep them coming back up, but I would definitely keep them thinned out.
I read something that said you could put a tiny drop of Roundup on the things, on the little, the wound. And I thought, I don't believe I'm going to try that.
No, these are growing off the main plant. If you put glyphosate, it's absorbed into the plant and goes down and kills roots. Whoever recommended that, first of all, is breaking federal law. Second of all, they're dangerous people. We don't need to have people out there saying stuff that's blatantly wrong. So I would never abuse any kind of herbicide or insecticide or fungicide, even natural ones. But no, that's a good way to kill the whole plant.
That's exactly what I was thinking too. So thanks for verifying it. I think it was actually some sort of an EDU website. I need to go back and find that.
Well, if you have small plants come up around it, but suckers off the main plant, their leaves are tied into the root vascular system, and so no, that's no. And whoever said that, the university person, shame on them. That's wrong. I'm very sure. I have to be sure about this kind of stuff because I'm liable for bad advice legally.
Sure. Yeah. Well, listen. Thank you. Good information, and I'll just keep cutting suckers.
Appreciate it. Go out there and just put you some shoes on and just push them, snap them off with your toe.
Oh, that's about. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
What'd you say, Felder?
Careful, Java.
Take them off with your toe.
When it comes to any kind of pesticides, just like a medical doctor, got to be careful what I say, because if it's taken wrong, that's the reason on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook, Java, we do not allow any discussions of the medicinal use of plants or whether wild mushrooms are edible or not. Because if I say you can do this with elderberries and it'll control this, that person may be taking some other kind of medicine that has an interaction. So I never get into medicinal use of plants or whether or not wild mushrooms are edible. Never, because of liability issues. Here at MPB, I'm particularly careful to not do anything that I could put us at risk for.
Yeah, no, that's always, like you say, really sticky, and you have to be careful about that. You really,
And
really
that's the
do.
reason I really appreciated the guy who wrote last week and said that
Yeah.
what I said about eating elderberries
Yeah.
could possibly be taken wrong. And I looked it up, and he was absolutely right. So I appreciate he called me out.
That's right. Now we're getting ready for our cheesy tune, but we got 2 more phone calls to get to, Felder. Let's go back to Hattiesburg and talk with Benjamin.
Okay. Morning, Benjamin. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I have a north-facing wall on my house that's dark red brick, and it heats up the room on the other side of that. And wanted to know, I'm thinking about putting a trellis and some vegetation up to help that, and wanted to know any vines or growth that are any better than others for that purpose.
Yes and no. Okay, it's definitely north facing though, right?
Yes.
Okay, here's the deal. In the wintertime, the sun rises and sets in the southeast, sets in the southwest. It stays low in the sky, so you'll never have any sunshine in the wintertime. Up
Correct.
until spring equinox and fall equinox, there's no sun on that wall at all. In the summertime, the sun comes up about 28 degrees north of east, goes 80 degrees overhead, sets in the northwest, so you can get direct sunshine in the mornings and in the late afternoon in the summertime. So you need to really concentrate on something that shades it then. If you want to put an evergreen vine, something like ivy, that'll do a good job of knocking some of the cold wind off in the wintertime. But, you could put a simple little trellis up out there, maybe a foot or 2 out from the wall with any kind of mesh fabric. One of my favorites, by the way, is this stuff they put in concrete. You go to a big box store and where they sell rebar and concrete, they have this reinforcing mesh. It's got like 6-inch squares cut in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Yes, sir.
It's that reinforcing wire they put in concrete. You can stretch it between some posts, and it just completely disappears. As a matter of fact, it rusts. And when it rusts, it sort of blends in with the red brick. It's not going to take away from your brick. And then in the summertime, you could plant gourds, you could plant cucumbers, you could plant anything like that grows real fast in the spring through the summer and fall. See, so there's a bunch of flowering vines that moonflower, morning glory, things like that will grow in the spring, summer, and fall, but and you can clean it off in the wintertime. Well, you don't really need protection then. But as far, you could grow a rose on it. If you put it farther enough out, you could put a climbing rose. Somebody mentioned Lady Banksia earlier, but Peggy Martin is a really good one, but it's a big one. All it takes is one for about a 30-foot section of wall. See, so the main thing is put you a trellis a couple of 3 feet out from the wall, so it doesn't, you don't have problems with the vine growing on the wall itself. Otherwise, you're anything that grow on the brick like ivy or Virginia creeper, which is a good native vine, they may eat into your mortar a little bit. But anyway, so I would either put a trellis out 3 or 4 feet from the house with that wire mesh. If you want to plant something right on it, consider our native Virginia creeper. It's great. It grows well, drops its leaves in the wintertime, lets a little, those would be my choices.
Okay, I wasn't worried about the colder air in the winter. I was trying to do something about the heated air in the summer. So that helped me a lot. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me get you to picture this. There's this thing called a baffle. A baffle is a landscape architectural thing. You know how billboards are. Billboards are 2 sticks with a great big billboard up in the sky. You can make a miniature billboard. It's sort of like the top half of a fence. You could put that out from your house with some lattice on it. That would actually look pretty good. But the idea is a lattice doesn't have to go all the way to the ground. It could start 3 or 4 feet off the ground and go up 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 feet. So you don't have to put it from the ground up. You could have it from as high as you want down to 3 or 4 feet and grow a vine on that. It's not as obtrusive looking, but you can still grow vines on it.
Right. Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Good luck on it. Appreciate your call. Good question too.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
So, John, we got another caller. We're going to listen to some cheesy tune.
Well, before we get to our cheesy tune from Mr. Tiny Tim, let's talk to John in Nettleton.
Okay, John, what's going on, man? Good to hear from you.
Yes, sir. I kind of joined the program late, and my blueberries this year, I didn't know if this question had been asked or talked about blueberries, but they just produced a fraction of what they normally do, and I pruned them last year before the 1st of August and done pretty much everything that I normally do, but this year just don't have many at all, and what's there doesn't seem to be getting right very quick, and I just wondered if it was an isolated problem with me or if you've heard anybody else mention the same thing.
Well, a lot of people have had quite a few people have had good success with blueberries this year, but a whole lot of them have not, because it's we had a little warm spell, we had a late freeze, things like that definitely affect the plants. But being up in North Mississippi, I would suspect that it might have been we had a warm spell, had plenty cold winter, the buds were nice and fat. We had that late hard freeze that might have gotten some of the buds. Also, when they're blooming, if you don't have a lot of bee activity, particularly our little native bees, they look like miniature bumblebees. They're really efficient at pollinating blueberries, and there may not have been as much bee activity. Could have rained a whole lot, but there's all sorts of things that affect pollination. I just suspect that might have had something to do with that late freeze. As far as them not ripening very much, I'm seeing quite a few people say that blueberries are slow this year. Some people have had good success, and somebody already freezing me some for when I get back. But a whole lot of it has to do with variety, location, state, weather, and things like that. So if you go ahead and prune them again this year, don't prune them quite as hard. Leave some of this year's growth on them, and I bet they do even better next year.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the information.
Okay, educated guesses, my friend, educated guesses.
Okay, I understand. Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too. Okay, Java, sometimes you know it, sometimes you don't. Man, we have covered a lot of topics over the past hour and a half. Got another 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, we have done a whole lot. So let's take a little breather and get this second cheesy tune in, and then we can get back on our regular scheduled program.
All righty. This tune, for those of you who are listening on the rebroadcast and can't hear the tune, it's a Tiny Tim tune called Meet the Sun Halfway. Don't just lay around, get up and do something. Meet the Sun Halfway by Tiny Tim. I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Me and Java, John C., Abram, all the other folks at MPB, we're glad you joined us. We got a little bit more time if you got some calls. And when we come back, I'm also going to talk about whether bell peppers are male or female. Some people have not shared that they've heard that all their life. I know you have. Anyway, we'll be right back with more of the Gestalt Gardener right after this.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. As a blues man, I love Mississippi Public Broadcasting. If you support Mississippi music and their local programming, donate now, right now, and become a member today, not tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Doesn't matter how big or small, but we prefer big. Thank you very much.
Mississippi is a place of deep roots where every story matters and every voice can be heard. At MPB, we stand with our local communities, bringing you the voices of those who shape our state through local programming that reflects our culture across small towns to big cities, from the Delta to the coast. We tell the stories that define us, from the music that carries our voices to the leaders who inspire change. MPB brings you the heart of Mississippi, celebrating Mississippi one story at a time. MPB, your stories, our mission.
together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission.
School choice, rural hospitals, voter access. The 2026 Mississippi Legislature will impact you and your family for years to come. MPB brings you At Issue, a weekly analysis of the legislative session and the issues affecting you with perspectives from both sides of the aisle. Brandon Jones and new At Issue analyst Rebecca Staples join me, Wilson Stribling, every Monday at 5 p.m. only on MPB Think Radio and wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
The Gestalt Gardener and Java, through the miracle of modern technology, I understand you've got a special picture that just got sent to us.
Yeah, we talked about it in the last hour yesterday. Well, yesterday and today, the Southern Spark Conference is happening where my Crystal, she helped put it on, and they had an afternoon reception at the Bean Path. And if you know about the Bean Path in Jackson, it's one of the tech hubs, or the tech hub, in my opinion. And Tony Cephas was there, and she was excited about listening to the show this morning. And her zinnias paired with sweet basil that she arranged and put out on all of the tables, and she heard the shout out and sent a picture in. So if we could put that picture up, and you'll be able to see that arrangement of her.
Look at that.
Yeah.
So she did a floral design with the zinnia and basil.
Yeah, and you see it's on all of the tables. So she had a nice bounty to share with us.
Okay, now I can't tell from this picture. Is that not in a milk of magnesia jar? Is it?
No, it's not in a. But there are some beautiful blue vases.
The reason I'm saying, because I always bring a milk of magnesia bottle with me everywhere I go, because you never know when somebody's going to need one. Look at this. Anyway, Tony, we appreciate you, Miss Cephas, for sharing that. It's really interesting because zinnias and basil are probably two of the most easiest summer annuals to grow. And why people don't plant them together, I don't know. They grow perfectly well. You can plant flowers and herbs and vegetables, and all together is what we call an edimental garden. But she had an edimental bouquet, and we appreciate that. Thank you so much for sending that.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a surprise, because I was just shouting it out because it was beautiful. And she was, she was like, yeah, I'm going to show you this picture.
Well, let's while we're showing pictures, let's put up picture number 7. If I could say, this is a picture of me holding some hot peppers, really, really hot peppers. Have you ever seen an expression like that, Java?
You look like you just ate one of those hot peppers.
I was just smelling them, and it gave me a flush. The reason I want to show this because it came up this past week on Mississippi Gardening. Somebody said, have we ever heard, are there separate male and female peppers? And I'm thinking, of course not. Of course not. They're, they both, the self-pollinating plants, they both have seeds in them, but there were like 60 people who said they've heard it all their life that they're separate male and female peppers. It's not true, but they believe this. And I was talking to Susan. She was raised in England. She said she's heard that all of her life. But apparently people think that 3 bumps on the bottom mean it's a male pepper. 4 bumps means it's a female. And the legend goes that the male fruits with 3 bumps are better for cooking. And the ones with 4 bumps are females that have more seeds and they're better to eat raw. I don't know, but I had to write this in. There's no such thing. They're all the same. There's some peppers don't even have bumps. They just have a point. Anyway, somebody wrote, she said they had a male one for supper and it was bitter.
Oh, what?
They're just being misogynistic here. They're talking bad about us guys being bitter.
Always.
Instead of all sweet like Crystal and Susan.
Of course.
Anyway, I'd never heard that thing before, but apparently a lot of people are convinced that they're separate male and female peppers. I just want to throw that out because, this is Think Radio. This is, I don't know what we would call this portion of Think Radio. Just Got to come up with the word for it. It ain't thinking.
No,
it's definitely going along with the flow. Anyway.
Well, we do have a phone call if you're ready.
Yeah, I am. But while you cue that out, let me mention this. If you haven't planted peppers yet, pepper plants and tomato plants that are set out in July before the first week or so in August will actually grow better, sturdier, and stockier than those set out back in the cooler spring. And not only that, they'll have more fruits in the cooler season of September and October, early November. You set out a second crop of peppers and tomatoes late June, July, first part of August, they will always outproduce the ones you're trying to keep going all summer long. Because a lot of these plants drop their flowers and their little fruits when it gets really hot. Just saying, 2 crops of those is better than just trying to keep 1 crop alive. Now, who we got on the line now, Java?
Let's go to Chico in Oxford.
Chico, hadn't heard you from you in a while. How you doing?
That's because I've been busy cleaning up ice storm damage still.
Oh, man. Still got some to go, too.
Oh, yeah, got a whole lot. But speaking of Think Radio, you got me thinking this morning. And, right. Mississippi Public Radio has that great program at 3 p.m. on Monday afternoons. It's lit, y'all, all about books and reading. And This might be a better question for that program. You hear that truck going by in the background? You can tell I'm in North Mississippi, can't you? This might be a better question for when you're a guest on that program. But you were talking about Rose of Sharon.
Yeah.
And Felder, I'm a bad Mississippian. We know that Mississippi has provided the greatest writers the world has ever seen. But my favorite writer is John Steinbeck, and he was not fortunate enough to be a Mississippian. But, of course, one of his great characters is named Rose of Sharon. And it got me wondering, what came first, the plant name or the people name?
Oh, that's a really good question. The plant gets his folk name, Rose of Sharon, because it's native to the plains of Sharon from the Old Testament of the Bible. So, they call it the Rose of Sharon because it's from Syria. Latin name is Hibiscus syriacus. So it's from that part of the world to begin with. So I think it's probably a biblical thing.
Oh, I see. That's good. Do you know, it got me thinking, what about people or things, animals that are named after plants in popular culture? Like, Daisy in Blondie. The dog is named Daisy.
Yeah, Rose.
Do you know of any more?
Oh, I mean, I don't know where you're going with this.
Well, I was just wondering if you knew of any more in popular culture. I guarantee you Java does. He could probably do a whole blend on it.
Well, I don't know if there are any people named Basil out there. I think...
well, there's Basil Rathbone.
That's right. Well, I had a great friend in Tupelo named Basil. He was a good dude. Well, y'all just got me thinking this morning, so I'm going to get back on the ice storm damage cleanup.
Okay, Sweet Pea. Good to hear from you.
All right. See y'all later.
Chico, that's a good man right there.
Java, next week I'm going to share an old parlor game. Back before radio and television and all like that, people, when they have little parties, maiden parties and things like that, they had little word games they were playing. And one is called The Wedding of the Flowers, where it's got a story about this wedding, and all the people's names and the events were plant names. And I'll share that next week in honor of Chico.
I've never heard of that, and I'm into Google to see what's going on. Okay, all right.
Yeah, the Wedding of the Flowers word game.
Okay,
is really interesting.
All right. Well, let's go back to the phones. We got Mikey from Mobile.
Morning, Mikey. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and you sound like you're doing great, and I'm happy for all of us.
Good.
Doesn't Abram have a new daughter that's got two names of flowers?
Yeah, of course.
That's right. We forgot all about Daphne.
Daphne. Matter of fact, I took a picture of a Daphne flower and showed it to him.
That was so easy. That was right there. It was right there.
Well, I mean, at least they didn't, call her Daphne Basil or Basil. Anyway, I got a question about English cucumbers, and this is prompted by many years of having to forego cucumbers, although I could eat them raw because, I couldn't eat them raw, but I love them, but it just was not work. And but I could eat them chemically cooked, as i.e. pickling, anything like that. But since then, I broke down and actually bought a so-called English cucumber in a grocery store. And lo and behold, I love them, and they don't give me any problems. Do they grow these in England since they're also called seedless? I don't imagine we can grow them here. Help me out. Please enlighten me.
Well, English cucumber is I'm just looking this up. I know this, but can't remember it. English cucumbers are bred to create a cucumber without the tough outer skin, doesn't have large seeds and a bitter taste. They're also known as burpless cucumbers, seedless cucumbers, European cucumbers. The English cucumber is just what they call a seedless or burpless cucumber. They don't have a thick skin, they don't have a lot of seeds, and they don't have that value added burp.
Well, they don't have whatever the compound is that just gave me instantaneous, real pain.
Yeah. Well, what I've seen, they're longer. A lot of our cucumbers, we think of pickling cucumbers are kind of shortish and thick. These are long and thin. I've seen them a foot long, and they're real thin and they're real smooth. So, you may have seen them in the store. They look like just long, skinny, smooth cucumbers, but they don't have the seeds. They don't have a real tough skin. And I don't know where the burp comes from. But they don't have that either. But if you think of burp cucumbers.
Are they grown in Australia or England or where?
They're grown in Alabama and Mississippi.
They do?
There's three main kinds of cucumbers. There's I can't remember all three of them. There's I remember
not
learning
the
about
regular
these.
Cucumbers.
Yeah,
not the regular cucumbers. Yeah.
Anyway, here we go.
So,
Slicing, pickling, and English, which is just eating. Slicing, pickling, and just fresh eating. They don't have a thick skin. I remember that. They don't have seeds, and they're long and skinny. They're good for slicing and serving with salads. And if you've ever had a cucumber sandwich, that's a burpless English type cucumber. But they grow anywhere. It's just a folk name.
Well, I'm just glad I can eat them, and anybody else who's encountered the same thing in their, systemic, digestive, whatever, try it out. See what happens. Thank you very much, as usual.
Okay. I appreciate it. I had to do a little scrambling there because I knew this, but I couldn't remember it. I just jogged my memory with a quick online search, and sure enough, they're what they use slicing for cucumber sandwiches.
It's funny, Mikey just spurred my thinking about the 2 pickle festivals that are happening this weekend.
Oh, this weekend.
Yeah, it's 2 different pickle festivals. Both have been featured on Next Stop Mississippi, and I was just going to ask about your I don't know, how do you like your pickles, man?
I eat pickles as a snack every day. I like the spicy dill pickles, long slicing dill pickles.
Now, have you? Let me ask this question. This is real Mississippi. At your time overseas in England, have you seen a Kool-Aid pickle yet?
No. It's been so long since I even thought about that. Have you made those for your kids?
Well, no, but they will pop up every so often with like a pickle, and those pickles in a bag. I'm like, where'd you get that from? But the Kool-Aid pickles, they're going to be everywhere this weekend at the pickle festival.
I went to the pickle festival. Unfortunately, I'm not there this weekend. I went to it several years ago, and I love spicy dill. I like the old fashioned crinkle cut. What are they called? Some kind of butter. It's got butter in it. I can't remember. Just like 2 hours of yakking about gardening.
Butter pickles?
Anyway, I like the ones that are spicy and crunchy. But the English cucumber, again, we have slicing cucumbers and pickling cucumbers. But the English cucumber, it almost doesn't look, it's long and skinny. It kind of got ridges on it and smooth, but you chop them up in slices, you can eat them. They don't have that burp. They don't have that. They're crunchy, but they don't have that thick skin, and they don't get bitter. And this is something, Java, it may be addressed at the pickle festival, but when pickles get dry, they get bitter. When it gets really, really hot and dry, they get bitter. So if you like cucumbers and you're going for making pickles, you need to make sure you don't keep them wet, but a good deep soak in every week or so. I got burps just thinking about. I can't wait to when we get off the air. I'm going straight for the pickles.
Well, the ones you were thinking about.
They get bitter when it gets hot and dry. They get bitter, and you can prevent that by keeping them watered.
Yeah, and the flavor you were thinking about, or the variety you were talking about, the bread and butter pickles.
Bread and butter, that's right. Sometimes you find them at salad bars. They're sweet, they're vinegary, they're spicy. That's the ones I like.
Yeah, the bread and butter pickles. And also, just lastly on pickles, at this pickle festival, we were told that there's going to be a hot dog. There's a hot dog, a fried corn dog pickle, some type of apparatus like that. It's like a hot dog, a pickle. Oh, a pickle with a hot dog in the middle, and then the pickle is breaded in that corn dog batter and then deep fried. There you go.
Oh man, okay, Java. We need to stop. Stop this. This is wrong. It's like. I can think of so many variations to deep fry stuff. Are there any deep fried tomatoes yet? Well, wait, I'm from the South. We fry stuff and put ketchup on it. Why can't we just deep fry some ketchup?
Well, at the Texas fair one year, they had deep fried beer. So anything's possible, man. Anything's possible.
No, I've always heard there's a thin line between pleasure and abuse, but I think it's a wide gray band. Anyway, if you go to the Pickle Festival, swing by the herb garden behind the doctor's office. It's maintained by Master Gardeners. We've got a young horticulturist who's starting to sort of take over the general planting and stuff. But I was there a couple of weeks ago, and it looks really, really good. You'll see all sorts of incredible stuff in the little herb garden. It's medicinal herbs, culinary herbs. Also has a lot of antique flowering plants. So anyway, stop by the Ag Museum, Doctor's House, and go to the Pickle Festival. Tell everybody there I said, hey, I wish I was there. Man, I want a pickle so bad, but I'm not sure about a fried pickle. I don't even like fried pickles at the bar.
All right, Felder, take us home, man. We got about 10 seconds.
Okay, y'all, go to the Pickle Festival, go to the Garden Center, go to the Farmer's Market, and show kids how to do what we do best, and that's get dirty. See y'all next week.